Hello everyone, my name is Justin or JustTheProdigy. Wow, I'm actually recording a little earlier today, so I have a little more energy than I usually do. So how are you all doing today? Today we're going to be talking about Raiden Shogun or Baal today, and I wanted to dive deep into the lore. And this is going to be a really serious video because she hasn't come out yet. For those of you in the future, she hasn't come out yet, and I wanted to see if I could put pieces into the puzzle and then figure out who Raiden Shogun is really, her motivations, and so much more. So if you guys are new to the channel and you guys don't know me, Justin or JustTheProdigy, we do a lot of pulls, videos, we do a lot of rerun analysis, we do pretty much everything Genshin Impact, and I really wanted to get more into the lore. So if you are interested in that, be sure to subscribe to join the Phantom Prodigies today. So let's hop to it. What I want to do first is watch the video with you guys and then slowly dissect and see what her motivations are and put in the little bits and pieces and then put them all into a puzzle. So I know a lot of you guys have seen this, but as a refresher, let's watch this together.
Toma, Paimon! What is this place?
Okay, so that told us a lot, at least in my opinion. This literally told us a lot. So as you can see here, first of all, let's start analyzing this. So as you can see, Baal is extremely happy. All right, this seems pretty general, but we're gonna get into the nitty gritty and the very specific soon. But let's point out what we see here. So we see that she has 3 friends. They're enjoying their sushi here, you know, and they're having fun. Let's be real, they're all having fun. But then, right here, if we see the little bits and cutscenes here with Baal, it fast forwards. So she's holding a spear, okay? So a lot of people are saying that she's fighting her friends. Which, I could see that. I could see that. So now, if we take that route and you assume that she's just fighting her friends, this is kind of like the first display of kind of grief. For example, nothingness. You'll feel empty inside and, you know, it's pretty straightforward. You feel empty inside, but the key thing that I get here with the, Genshin Impact or MiHoYo saying nothingness, it's a sense of this is just the beginning. You feel this is like your first stage of grief. You're feeling nothing. You're feeling like you can't do anything, and you're feeling like that you're not in control. This is also similar in real life. This is why a lot of people, when they watch this, they felt the power that this shows, because sometimes when you're fighting somebody, for example, I don't know if you guys have watched Naruto, but those of you guys who have watched Naruto, the Kakashi versus Obito fight, where literally nothing is being said, but you could feel the weight of their punches as they show the flashbacks. It has that same feeling where if you're not talking, like for example here, they're really not talking except for Aether in the end. It shows the amount of weight that this shows. Like this just shows the amount of weight that Baal is exuding towards the audience. So I feel like nothingness, if we're going that route, nothingness is Baal's first stage of feeling empty. Now, if we fast forward this, she still feels somewhat happy. She's like, okay, I still feel a little bit of acceptance. And then I want to dive into why a lot of people can sympathize with Baal and why I actually sympathize with Baal a little bit. So right here, she's still feeling happy, but, and, you know, her other friend is unfortunately gone. And I feel like this nightmare is pretty much taking them apart one by one. And obviously, nightmare. This has a very important title to it. People are like, oh, what if it's just straightforward a nightmare? Which is true. But what if every day was a nightmare for her? Not the actual nightmare itself. And then what we can see here is someone, one of her friends going berserk. I could probably, yeah, there we go. One of her friends here is going berserk. Right here. And then, unfortunately, Baal would probably have to stop her. So again, we literally know nothing about Baal. And then stillness, how you feel after you're like, the realization of emptiness. And this is turning into some like highly depressing video, but I really wanted to talk about this and really go in depth with you all here. Because stillness, this is where the part she's like, okay, how much more am I gonna lose? This is like stage 2 of someone's grief. And then now look at her face. You could see now it's getting lower. Oh my gosh, this just makes me sad when I look at it. And then now, let's see here. So I know there's something in the first scene. So it just shows whatever this is. I can't really. Oh, it's a crow, and then maybe this person transformed into something, I'm assuming. And then maybe the crow or the bear, maybe, or whatever this I'm probably gonna get attacked. I'm pretty sure that looks like kind of like a bear. I don't know. And then here's the thing here. Remember when everybody was talking about her liking Baal liking dogs? There you go. Little bits and pieces. So she's like more probably of an animal person, as but this is the most important thing, the concept of eternity. Baal is probably feeling like at this point in time, this is the most painful stage, where you feel like your pain is like an eternity. That's why a lot of people are sympathizing with this. But then I'll explain later why a lot of people are sympathizing with Baal. And I've been seeing a lot of "I will protect Baal" comments, when in reality she's strong enough to protect herself. But you know how it is. I'll talk about why people sympathize with Baal in a second. So then, as you can see, her face, she's pretty much reminiscing about the times. And then right after that, she comes to that realization and puts her head down that all of this really did happen. And then you can see here how she's slowly accepting it. And then she's slowly but surely falling into madness. As you can see here, everyone said that this is her past self and that she wants to go back to her past self. And then she's surprised. And then she wants to go there, obviously, to regain and rekindle her past relationships, but unfortunately that isn't an option, such as real life. And she's a little lost now. This really hurts. Like, this really hurts if you think about it. See? And then she's starting to fall into madness. And she feels like nothing can be fixed at this point. I'm looking at each part here because each segment here is really important. See, now this is her last stage where she assumes that nothing will ever be fixed and nothing will be changed. So, as Thanos said, I will do it myself, in which, you know, the Vision Hunt decree. Now, then there's Toma's vision, I'm assuming. Then domain expansion. So I'm assuming it's a timeline, kind of like when Inazuma was locked up, I guess. That's probably when she started feeling her levels of grief, as it were. And then right here, this is where obviously Aether talks, but there's not too much to unpack here. But yeah, here's the really important thing that MiHoYo did brilliantly in terms of pretty much having people sympathize with Baal, because I knew something like this was going to happen, because I watched a lot of shows. Those of you guys who've watched a lot of shows, you know, for example, for me, animes, read a lot of books, read a lot of manga and stuff, you start to realize these types of patterns as well, and I'd like to share it with you all. Such as why MiHoYo pretty much formulated it this way for people to sympathize with Baal. And in the beginning, people were hating Baal, and even now they're still hating Baal because they think that, well, we'll see, you know, maybe Kazuha may perish, or someone even said Beidou may perish, but we'll have to see. But they said most likely Kazuha because of the trailer that I haven't really analyzed yet, but I really wanted to analyze this because this kind of shows how other humans sympathize with other humans. And of course, she's an anime character, alright? Don't come after me. But you can kind of see here how, and then I'll talk about pretty much how I personally relate to this. It's a little off topic later, but I want to talk about how we as human beings can analyze this. Not analyze, sympathize with her. So, for example, when you feel nothingness, for example, and we're also connecting this to Raiden Shogun as well. When you're feeling nothingness, I know a lot of people nowadays, they're not necessarily feeling the best, you know, so they feel really empty when something bad happens, and then it keeps happening, and then it keeps happening, and then it keeps happening, and then it keeps doing this. Like, and then until pop. That's what happened to Raiden Shogun. And in this case, it happened in 3 stages. The nothingness part. That's the first stage. Stillness was the second stage. And eternity was the final straw and what made that balloon pop. So that is really, really important because I know a lot of people can sympathize with this. For example, with school, with work, with people unfortunately leaving this world. You know, there's a lot of things that you can connect with, and there's a lot of humanity in this because you can easily sympathize with Baal if you've experienced this. And unfortunately, a great many of us have experienced this, where, for example, you go here, you tolerate it for a little bit, such as Baal, she tolerated it, and then she's like, okay, when is this gonna end? You know, I'm feeling a lot of pain. And then eternity is like, this will never end. So the eternity part would also mean that she probably could, or she would have outlived them because, you know, eternity. She is eternity. And what she could be doing with the visions, as you can see here, since she gathered surplus amount of visions, as you can tell. I think they show it here. How there's already like a statue of visions here, which you guys probably didn't really realize. Where is it? I swore there was like with the statue it had a bunch of visions on it, but yeah, there was like I think it was in the previous trailer where there was a bunch of visions gathered up already, and she was probably gonna unleash eternity on everyone so they could suffer how she suffered. And this is pretty similar to a lot of, you know, stuff I've watched personally. But yeah, as you can tell here, she's just feeling a lot, and I mean a lot of grief here. You know, these 3 stages. And those of you who have experienced it, such as I have, where you it's really sad when you think about it, but things just come at you like time and time again. Life likes to come at you time and time again, where you get hit here. All right, and then you're like, okay, I can somewhat deal with it. Then an even bigger blow happens, and then you're like, when is this gonna end? And then your final stage is where, you know, you're like, oh man, I can't take it anymore. My bubble is gonna pop, because I've been in those similar situations as well. As you can tell, Raiden Shogun did, and I can tell a great many of you have as well. You know, that's why a lot of people are also playing Genshin Impact for escapism, but we could talk about that in another video. But the reason why people sympathize with Ball is because they have a huge like connection between the two right now. Like this trailer shows you a lot that you may have experienced in your own life. You know, some greater than others. You know, some greater than others, and it's crazy because just the related the relation between the two of the stages of grief and how much you can take as a human being. And the same thing goes with Ball. That's why character development and everything is really important because, as I said, if Ball was a kudere, like, as you guys know, if you guys don't know, I'm a Eula guy. I really love her lore behind the character. You know, that's the most important thing. I probably will be making a video on Eula's lore and, you know, how she became the person she was. Same with Raiden Shogun. Like, she literally had to get these stages of grief, but then here's the thing about grief too. Everything that you experience, at least for my own opinion, as somebody who's like has gone through a lot as well, uh, it does make you stronger. No matter like what happens to, it really does make you stronger, and I want to let you guys know that as well. It does make you stronger, and even though, for example, tying this back into Raiden Shogun or Ball, like you can tell that she's slowly dipping into madness, but at the same time, you could also see her getting stronger from these experiences. That's the really important thing as well. These hardships internally made her stronger. She was probably a softie, you know? She was probably a softie back then, to be completely honest. As you can see, it showed her past self to this could be soft Ball. And then now this is pretty much warped Ball or present day Ball. And I can relate to this because sometimes I'm like this, and then I bet you guys can be like, man, I used to miss my childhood. It used to be so easy, for example, and this scene is very powerful as well. So there's a lot of themes to uncover here. I could literally go on and on about this. Now, this past self scene is really important because it's like how, you know, you wish that certain events didn't happen and you could be this person again. That's what Raiden is doing here. She's like, okay, I'm sitting here, and, you know, you sometimes have those times where you analyze and overanalyze things, where you sit there, personally for me, where you sit there, you think about what has happened in your life, and then you're like, man, I wish I could go back to there. But at the same time, you need to realize that you became a stronger person from that. I feel like Raiden or Ball hasn't realized that yet. Here comes the Traveler. Now the Traveler could also, you know, bring her back. But then now, this past Ball would technically be irrelevant now because the stronger Ball would have been, well, stronger and better than her past self because of Traveler, if that makes sense. So, again, this is also ties into real life. Like, everything ties into real life. You can tie this in because that one person that you meet in real life could change you forever, you know? And it's the same thing with Raiden or Raiden Shogun. As you can tell with this, he's feeling lost, empty, but then here comes the Traveler. Like, the Traveler could probably show her a lot. You know, Raiden or despite what happens, we all know she's gonna be strong. We all know she's gonna, you know, become stronger because of the Traveler. And maybe, you never know, she could travel with the Traveler. You know, that would be really cool. And maybe she needs that to get out of Inazuma, because this is another topic I wanted to talk about. Inazuma essentially locking her in. She's literally like an introvert. And I really wanted to talk about that really quick and analyze this from a different point of view, because all the different types of videos I've seen about Raiden Shogun, they didn't really dive too deep into this in terms of like her psychology as well. So you can tell she's kind of like an introvert, which most of us are, kind of like in Genshin Impact. That's why we play Genshin Impact, not calling anybody out, you know what I mean? But because I am one too, so you're not alone. But she's kind of like an introvert in the sense that she'll just lock herself in, assume that nothing's okay. I'm probably calling you guys all out because we all feel the same way. Where you lock yourself in a room, no, you really don't want to associate with other people. You're kind of in your own little world, and then you're kind of like that, the looking down on other people ish, or you're not necessarily looking at down on other people, but you're kind of disappointed at how the world is, and that's kind of how Raiden or Ball is feeling. It's very humanistic emotion, and it really does. Here's the sad part too, like not the sad part, but here's the thing: it ties in to what teenagers feel typically as they grow up, and then obviously until they reach adulthood, where they feel like they have nothing in control. And it's literally the point I'm trying to make here too is it's reaching out to the audience, since Genshin Impact knows their community is around 13 to about 30 years old. And this is brilliantly crafted in my opinion because it appeals towards you. They understand the world is in a good place right now, so they're tugging at your heartstrings right now. That's exactly what they're doing. And what Ball is doing too, since Inazuma was closed down, essentially, she was pretty much just in her little box, in her little room, and that box would be Inazuma, and she'd probably just lock herself in, and she would think and reminisce and reminisce and reminisce until somebody will break her out of that. And the sad part is, it's the same thing in real life, what a lot of people deal with, and that's really and mainly why people sympathize and understand Raiden from this perspective, because again, this trailer shows a lot. You could also take it in the way that, unfortunately, again, bullying and stuff is very prevalent in society, and people will tend to just look down on you because, that's just how people are when they get jealous. It's the same thing here. Person 1 goes away, person 2 goes away, person 3 goes away, and that's your whole friend group. Unfortunately, I can relate to this, getting betrayed, but that's another story. But it's the same thing here with Ball. One friend messes you up, your whole, and then the whole group messes you up. The same thing, and then you feel like you have nothing, and that's what I'm trying to get at with Ball here, is that she feels like she has nothing. And then as you can tell here, they're having sushi and stuff. But yeah, I could literally talk about this for hours. But as you can tell here, her friends being gone and some essentially negatively, hurt her. But then in the same process, it made her stronger, which is really, really important. And that's why a lot of people sympathize with that. I bet you a lot of you, many of you are probably past that stage where you've overcome it and you're stronger because of it. But unfortunately, the people I've talked to, most of you are still in that stasis because, you guys are still stuck. And you guys will, this is also, I like how this is supposed to be a Raiden Shogun analysis, and I'm mainly trying to talk to you all, the viewers. Probably gonna get flamed for this, but yeah, it does make you stronger. It really does make you stronger, hardship. And as you can tell, Raiden or Ball is a perfect example of this. You get blow after blow after blow until that one person breaks you out of your prison and then extends their hand to you. That's just how it is. Same thing with Ball, same thing with Raiden. It really will tug at your heartstrings because a lot of us experience this, and life isn't really a very happy place most of the time. So I really wanted to preface this. I really wanted to talk about this because this was a lot to unpack, and I'll probably make more of an analysis video as well as more about why Ball connects you, because I could literally talk about this for hours, but y'all don't have hours. But pretty much a closing thought to this is, look at this face, okay, that she's making here. She went from extremely hopeful right here. This is the last thing I want to talk about. to right here, you can see that she's literally cut herself out of society, and it's personally something I can relate to, and I bet you a lot of you can relate to. So that's really important to understand someone's past, understand their perspective of why they became the person they were, you know. And at least for me, I always assume that most people are really good people. It's just the experiences that they had in the past turned them to what they were now. Whether they were strong enough to overcome it, or they were unfortunately not strong enough and eventually decided to get away from society. And it's easier to do that. It's much easier to do that than understanding where a person is coming from, and it's easier to hate than it is to love. That's just how it is in the world, at least from my perspective. But yeah, as you can see here, the traveler's gonna have to do something where he or she, Lumine or Aether, has to pretty much sway Baal into getting her out of that box. I can't wait to see if this is kind of gonna be her storyline, where Aether or Lumine pulls her out of her box, and then she becomes more open, and then she essentially gets out of her shell. That's something that I look forward to seeing. That's pretty much what I wanted to unpack this video. There's a lot more I could talk about. I'll probably talk more about this in the upcoming videos. Raiden or Shogun or Baal is coming out, so if you guys are interested in watching poll videos and stuff, I'd highly recommend you to stick around the channel. And the community, this is the thing I wanted to stress out too in the community. My community on Discord, because I've been growing a lot recently, my community is really, really, really good, I have to say. They're really not toxic. We're all supporting one another. If you'd like to be a part of that, I'd recommend to join the Discord in the description, you know. And then I try to live stream a lot so I can communicate with you all, and I try to respond to as many comments as possible. And if you can probably see, if you go to the comment section right now, there's a lot of my comments to you, towards you. But yeah, that's my ending and closing thoughts with Baal. And the end screen is going to pop up, so I'd recommend watching those videos if you would like to get to know me, and if you would like to watch more Genshin Impact. So thank you all for watching and giving your time out of your day to listen to me rant more about Raiden Shogun and doing more of a lore analysis. This is kind of my first lore analysis, so I hope you guys enjoyed. So I'll wait until the end screen, and then you guys can learn more about me if you guys want to become part of this amazing community. I'd love to have you. So thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody.